Today's video is sponsored by Dreo. I never thought I could cook tofu this perfect. It has an incredible finish on the outside without being deep fried or breaded. It's cooked evenly on the inside without being overdone, too chewy, or hard. It's wonderful. It's the perfect tofu for stir fry, noodle dishes, salads, or even for sandwiches. So let me show you how I got here. I wanted to test different methods of preparing tofu to find what I thought was the best, at least based on our opinion. Most of these methods would involve baking or frying, and if you've watched me before, you have heard me complain about my stove.
I know, I haven't replaced this thing yet. I said I was going to. I'm gonna get an induction stove with a better oven. It's gonna happen.
So that's why I reached out to today's sponsor for help, Dreo. They sent me the new Chef Maker combi fryer so I can test different styles of cooking in one device while being able to keep it consistent. But more on that later because this thing is really cool. There are a lot of common methods to prepare and cook tofu, so I'm gonna run through them and test a few new ideas to see what happens. Not pressed, salted, and frozen. Along with dehydration, I want to see if that works for preparing each one of these tofus before we try to air fry, roast, toast, bake, and broil. So let's get moving. So first, we're going to start with an unpressed block of firm tofu. I'm just going to dry it off, slice it into 3 even pieces, and we're going to test using the oven's probe, which is pretty much like an internal meat thermometer, to get a good target oven temperature and cooking time. I'm going to set the starting ambient temperature of the oven to 365 degrees, and we're going to set the probe target temperature to 165 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the typical done temperature of tofu. And that looks pretty good. This took about 15 minutes. I mean, look at this. I feel like we're getting there. Let's see what Monica has to say.
Does it need to be crispier?
No, it's perfect.
It's pretty good. Okay, so I think we nailed the time. What are some points?
Could just be slightly more dry and slightly more crispy, but it does have a nice bite on the outside. Really good.
So now it's the next day. We have some frozen and pressed tofu. I was able to actually defrost the frozen tofu in the Chef Maker, and it came out really good. You could see there is tons of texture here. And for the dehydrated tofu, I just tossed it in the Dreo this morning and set it for about 6 hours. I didn't want it to fully dehydrate. I just wanted it to be at a similar hydration level as a pressed block of tofu. But you could see it did dry the outside a little bit more, so that actually might help in the process. For the salted tofu, I just drained it and then just covered it in just a little pinch of salt. That's all I did. Threw it in the refrigerator. Now that should actually salt the tofu, but it'll pull out a little bit of water. You could see once I drained it off here, there was maybe a quarter of a cup. So at this point, let's get started cooking. I cut each block into 5 separate pieces, cooked them one at a time at 400 degrees for 15 minutes under each setting: air fry, bake, roast, toast, and broil. And while we're preparing these, let me tell you a little bit more about the Dreo Chef Maker.
The Dreo Chef Maker is a first of its kind, highly sophisticated, easy to use countertop cooker kitchen appliance that goes far beyond the usual functions of a typical countertop appliance. They sent me this about a month ago and I was instantly blown away. First thing I did, funny enough, was I tossed in a block of tofu and I was shocked by just how intuitive it was to use. The quality of the display really got me immediately. And really just how good the tofu came out on its trial run. I was just pushing some buttons and it worked. We then used it for dinner that night, lunch the next day, and then just about every other day after that. I love the combi cook, which is typically designed for steaks, but after I tossed in a king oyster mushroom and just kind of let it roll, it came out like it was a sirloin cut. It was really impressive. It uses multiple stages of cooking to cook to temp, internal doneness, and then pre-sear and browning. It can do that because it has a water tank and atomizer that helps control the temp super precisely, so you could do things like browning and searing without overcooking like what a traditional air fryer would do. And you can also customize your personal recipes just how you like it. And it has an app, so when I was checking the tofu cooking times, I actually just went back to my office to finish some important work, and then I just watched it until it was done, and then I could just jump up and just grab it. It's awesome. I can set the food in the oven, walk away, and it will notify me when it's done. Every time. And actually for this video, I'm going to be preparing a full stir fry completely in the Chef Maker. It has blown my mind. So gang, there's a crowdfunding campaign and the early bird price has a 45% discount. Click the link in the description below to get in early for that incredible discount. Dreo, thank you for sponsoring today's video and for providing me with one of the coolest kitchen appliances I've had in years.
So now the tofus are all done. Now I actually did these all separately, and I had Monica rate each one of these based on a little rating system that I made just to keep everything accurate. It was based on the bite from 1 to 10, the chew from 1 to 10, the browning evenness from 1 to 10, and then just her general rating, which one she actually liked the best. So let's see what Monica has to say. There was 30 tests overall, and it took all day long to film and write down all of the scores. So I'll just feed you some highlights and then give you her total scores in the end. So first up is frozen air-fried tofu.
I don't love that one, but what do you think?
It's interesting. I like it.
Yeah.
It's different. It's not like a regular tofu. It's almost like a cracker.
Yeah. So here's the rating system.
Well, it's got a good bite. I'm gonna give it an 8.
So overall, the frozen tofu, no matter how it was cooked, wasn't really that impressive. I think frozen tofu works really great if you're going to bread it and fry it. It comes out just like chicken. It's kind of wild. So now we're going to move on to the dehydrated tofu. This looked really great as a preparation. We're just going to do the same thing. We're going to do all of the cooking methods, and now let's just see what Monica has to say.
Yeah, a little bit better.
Chew.
I'm not a super fan of it. Better chew than the frozen.
Soft in the center.
Yeah, but
It's got a good crisp, but you're right. It's not my favorite.
Yeah, the dehydrated just didn't come out as good as I thought it was going to come out. I really had some high hopes for that one, but there was something about the dehydrated exterior that just, it wouldn't allow it to like crisp up properly. It just kind of had like a dense chew to it. Now for the unpressed and salted, they both came out pretty good. The salted tofu actually had a unique softness to it that I wasn't expecting on the inside, almost like a silken tofu. The salted really added that to it, but it did have a lot of flavor throughout, which was nice. And the unpressed, I've tested that before. I think unpressed tofu can come out just absolutely fantastic. Now for the winner, it was the overnight press. I know in the past I've said not to press your tofu, but that's just the general 15-minute press that most recipes say to do. It doesn't really do much. But an overnight press using the air fry or roast setting is going to get you a denser, more firm tofu. It's going to be dry on the outside, and when you cook it, I mean, here, just let's see what Monica has to say about this one.
It does look good.
yeah, check. Here we go. Best one.
Really good. It's firm inside. I mean, firm and tender inside.
Yep. And the outside's really nice.
Yeah, I love the bite and the crunch. It's good.
Broiling.
Very bouncy.
Yeah, real nice. Really nice. Okay.
Now that we have the best tofu, I actually wanted to make a stir fry. I'm actually going to do an entire stir fry inside the Chef Maker oven. I think this is, like I said, this is really cool. And by doing like a stir fry in the oven, I'm literally going to be, I'm going to pour some day-old rice into an oil-lined baking dish, toss that in the Dreo, cook that up, and then I'm just going to add in like your normal like stir fry ingredients. We're going to do a little bit of soy sauce, maybe some I'm going to toss in some vegan butter, cook that up for a few minutes more just to brown it up, and then toss in all of the veggies that I already pre-cooked in the Dreo, and it comes out really good. So at this point, we have our cubed up tofu. I made like a really simple just sauce, almost like a sweet soy sauce. We're going to toss that with the pressed broiled tofu and throw that over this amazing stir fry. I mean, you can see how this tofu comes out so incredibly good because it actually can hold onto the liquid while remaining nice and crispy, not dry, not too crunchy, but also have a very nice bite. It's actually, in my opinion, this is the way that I like to see tofu done.
After all of those tests,
Okay.
this was the accomplishment.
Okay.
Yeah. Cheers, tofu.
Oh my god, this is awesome.
Right? Right.
The rice, the tofu, the veggies.
Yeah.
Everything is really good. It has a really good bite when I bite into it. A really good crunch. Still kind of juicy in the middle.
Yeah.
And not too soft, but not too hard. Just, really, like, not hard at all, actually.
Yeah.
Really nice. I just love it.
So thanks again to Dreo for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you click the link in the description below to get in early for an incredible discount on the Chef Maker. You will not regret it. I mean, it cooks and has settings to cook so much food, and it just makes it so incredibly easy.